My name is Stephen Mike, and what I am about to tell you, isn't just another spooky story. It's something that happened to me. Something that scarred me so deeply that even now, retelling it makes my hand shake. But I share it because I survived. And maybe my experience can help someone else avoid what I went through. My life was painfully ordinary before it all began. I was just a regular guy working a 9-to-5 IT job, living alone in a modest apartment in downtown Chicago, spending my evenings playing video games, watching Netflix, and talking to my small circle of friends over the phone, never expecting anything extraordinary to happen because horror movies were just entertainment to me, not reality until one night about 8 months ago when everything changed. It was late on a rainy Friday evening. I had just finished a long day at work and settled into bed with my phone in hand, scrolling social media mindlessly, when my screen lit up with an incoming call from an unknown number. It wasn't unusual for me to get scam calls, so I ignored it. But then it rang again, and again, each time from the same number. Something about the persistence made my stomach twist uncomfortably. Against my better judgment, I answered, and what I heard still haunts me. The voice on the other end wasn't human. It was a distorted, guttural whisper layered with static and echoes saying my full name in a drawn-out, chilling tone. Stephen Mike, ... You shouldn't have answered. I froze, heart pounding in my chest, and then I heard a faint scratching sound, like fingernails on metal, followed by heavy breathing that seemed to come not just from the phone but from somewhere in my apartment. I jumped out of bed, turning on every light, checking the locks, my rational mind screaming that it was a prank or maybe a recording. But deep down I felt watched, and then my phone buzzed again, a text from that same number. Look behind you. My breath caught in my throat as I slowly turned toward the dark corner of my living room, and there, in the dim glow of my lamp, I saw a tall, shadowy figure and moving, faceless, but its presence was suffocating. I stumbled backward, dropped my phone, and in my panic, I knocked over a chair, making a loud crash that echoed through the apartment, and in that instant the figure lunged, vanishing into thin air but leaving behind a freezing gust of wind and the unmistakable scent of rotting flesh. I bolted out of my apartment barefoot and ran down to the lobby, the night guard staring at me wide-eyed as I screamed about someone being in my home. We searched the entire place, nothing, no footprints, no sign of forced entry, but my phone, still lying on the floor where I dropped it, lit up with another text. I'm not done. The fear that consumed me was beyond anything I had ever felt. I didn't sleep that night or the next. Every creak in the walls and every shadow in my periphery felt alive, and then the deaths started happening. 3 people in my building mysteriously passed away within a week, all with their phones beside them, all having received calls from that same number. And when I asked around, I learned they all answered, just like me. Panic took over my mind. I stopped going to work, barricaded my door, barely eating, until one night, as I sat trembling in my darkened living room, I realized I couldn't let this thing control me. I had to confront it. I researched everything I could about cursed phone calls, legends, and paranormal investigations. I even reached out to a local priest who specialized in exorcisms, who warned me, it feeds on fear. Answer again, only if you're ready to fight. So I prepared candles, salt circles, recordings of protective chants, everything I could think of. And when the phone rang again at precisely 3 a.m., I answered, this time with trembling but determined hands, and instead of fear, I shouted into the phone, reciting every prayer I knew, holding firm even as my apartment shook violently, objects crashing off shelves, and that shadow figure manifested again, screeching like nails on glass, lunging toward me. But I didn't stop. I refused to give in, and then it was gone. The call ended. Silence filled the room. My lights flickered back to normal, and for the first time in weeks, I felt air fill my lungs freely. I collapsed in exhaustion, but I survived. And from that moment forward, the calls stopped, the deaths ceased, and my life, while never the same, became something new. I became stronger, more fearless, and I started sharing my story to warn others, because here's what I learned. Horror thrives in silence and fear, but if you face it, you strip it of its power. And now, I tell everyone, if you ever see that cursed number, don't answer it. But if you do, if you ever find yourself in that darkness, remember, courage is louder than fear, and you are never truly powerless. I overcame it, and so can you. And today, I live happily again, more grateful than ever for simple things like sunlight, laughter, and knowing that no matter how terrifying the night seems, dawn always comes. And so, if you take anything from my nightmare, let it be this. Don't ignore your instincts, protect yourself, And never underestimate the strength you carry. Inside you might just save your own life, like I did.